DeathDrop, written by Wichita Denver. Chapter 1. It was where it was all along. There was no one on the street. There were only two kinds of people who would be out past curfew, bounties and bounty hunters. Red Ricky was a bounty hunter. He wasn't looking for a bounty that night. That night he was just trying to get home. He was drunk and his eyes kept burning. Drinking seemed to be a common problem for him lately. Ever since his wife died, things had never been the same. Red Ricky was not a clean man. People in his company often complained about his smell, and the brown trench coat he wore may have been white when he purchased it. He wore a cowboy hat that was given to him by a homeless man who thought Ricky needed it more than he did. Under his trench coat was a pistol belt that held two mismatched 6-shot revolvers in the holsters that rested on his hips. One was a single action .22 revolver, the other was a .38 special, these being his weapon of choice because they were easier to load when he was under the influence. He looked up the street and saw the left turn he needed to make in the near distance. There were 6 street lights between him and his turn. He made the mistake of blinking. 6 turned to 12, and 12 turned to 24 in a matter of seconds. His vision multiplied everything so fast that he started to feel nauseated. He leaned over and vomited on the ground. When he stood back up, he felt good. Good enough to keep walking, at least. He stumble-walked until he got to the next streetlight, then again to the next one, then to the next one, then the next one. This method had been working so far, but after the 4th or 5th streetlight, he stopped. This streetlight was different. Different in the way that the light above looked like it was spinning instead of standing still. After seeing this, he knew he would throw up again. There was an alleyway immediately to his right. He was going to try to get it inside of a garbage can this time. He did make it to the garbage can that was just inside the alleyway, but he didn't think to grab for a lid. Instead, he ended up vomiting directly onto the can's metal covering. The vomit splashed back up towards him, sprinkling his trench coat and shirt. The only advantage being that this experience made him feel a little more sober, even if it would only be for a few extra moments. He leaned against a wall close to the opening of the alleyway. Clink! He looked up as his senses were drawn to the noise of a bottle falling in the darkness. Clink, clink! It happened again. The light only reached about 10 feet into the alley, but it was clear that something or someone was in there. Without any further reaction, Red Ricky stepped in front of the alleyway in a wide stance and called out, "Just come on out now, you little pecker. I don't care whether you live or die." A man stepped out of the shadows and into Red Ricky's view. He was a man of no peculiar height, but it was hard to tell exactly how tall he was because he was hunched over with his arms hanging menacingly in front of him. They swung like pendulums, rocking back and forth to the rhythm of danger. His poorly groomed yellow mohawk waved in the same motion. Red Ricky had no way of knowing it, but this man was only known as Daddy where he came from. Something that glinted the light in Daddy's hands caught Ricky's attention. It was a device that cut through the darkness with an almost luminescent green color. Ricky didn't know if it was a weapon or something else. He couldn't be sure. "What are you doing out here, you little cockbreath?" Red Ricky spurted words and saliva from his mouth. Daddy lifted the device up to his nose. He snorted from the spout. He dropped the device and looked upward toward Red Ricky from the other side of the alley. Daddy's eyes were bloodshot. He offered a sinister smile, and 1 second later, he tilted his head up and fell backward onto his ass. His hands propped to hold himself up. Red Ricky slowly shuffled toward Daddy. In between 2 stumbles, he flicked his long coat back, exposing the revolvers bolted to his sides. The flickering street light reflected off of his dilated eyes. That, Daddy looked down and to the side at nothing in particular, is a very stupid idea. Red Ricky pulled the .22 caliber handgun from his right side and pointed it down at Daddy against his temple. It seemed clear to Red Ricky that whatever bounty there was to be had would be just as good for a dead body. He kept his left revolver holstered and his right revolver to the side of Daddy's head. Ricky firmly placed his left palm and fingers on Daddy's forehead, warming his fingers slightly in Daddy's yellow mohawk. "Let's see what you've been hiding." Ricky closed his eyes and looked inside. After only a moment, Ricky's eyes darted open to meet Daddy with a look of dismay. By the time his eyes fully opened, Daddy was already holding Ricky's left wrist in both hands. Ricky had no time to react. With a flash of light and an instantaneous breakdown of the air around them, the alleyway was no more. If you were an onlooker from a block away, you would only see a peculiar man stumbling away from the smoldering buildings around him. The only thing you wouldn't see would be Red Ricky emerging from the fiery inferno. If you would have to think about the result, it would be safe to assume that Red Ricky was no more. There would be no bounty for his dead body.